Good morning, you lot. How you all doing? Hope you're all well and dandy. Now, last week I put up a video where I was getting this back up and running again after it had been drowned. It went in a very deep puddle. So, that's all good and dandy, but it seems to have sparked the interest of quite a lot of you lot. So just for a point of conversation and a point of interest, I was wondering, what would you lot have done? A lot of you seem to have an idea of what I did wrong, what you would have done, and things like that. So let's talk about it, shall we? Now, what I did, and what I should have done, was I should have, at the exact point, I should have taken the glow plug out there and then put some oil down in there, pulled it around a few times, got all the water out of it. But I didn't, because it's one of those things. It's a nitro engine, you know what I mean? They're resilient. Most engines are resilient anyway. A lot of people seem to think if you drown an engine, if you get water in it, oh, that's it. Oh no, big trouble. Oh, it's dead. Oh no. It's nothing really. It doesn't really matter at all. Yeah, it can compromise it in some way, but for the most part, it's going to be alright, you know what I mean? As long as you get oil around the cylinder again, and there's not actually, the engine isn't actually sitting in water for it to rust up, all the bearings to rust, you'll be alright. And as long as it doesn't hydrolock. Luckily this one didn't hydrolock. I don't know how it didn't hydrolock, because I suppose it just got too much. The water was too much resistance in the air filter foam, and there weren't enough air, and it stopped before it actually sucked it in. It did suck a bit in, because there was a bit of water coming out of there, wasn't there? But it weren't a lot. It was hardly anything. And it runs perfectly now. So all I did, for those of you that didn't see it, about 3 or 4, maybe a week later, not 3 or 4 days, maybe a week later, I actually eventually got to it. And all I did was take the glow plug out, stick some oil down in there. I didn't even stick oil down there, did I? I just pulled it over a few times, tried to get a lot of the water out, didn't get it all out, kept trying to start it. The car was full up, so I just kept pouring it until we got most of the water out. Put the engine heater on it, heated it up to give it a bit of birds out there, to give it a bit of extra heat in there to help it start and try and evaporate some water that might have been in there. And eventually it fired up and run like a dream. Have we got any long lasting damage? I don't think so. It still pulls over. The pull start's a bit stiff, but it always was anyway. Somebody said, even though it runs now, that engine will never be the same. Well, that might be true, because it depends how badly an engine's been drowned, but this one was alright. It weren't actually properly hydrolocked and full of water in the crankcase and full of water everywhere, was it? So I think it'll be alright. But if an engine is actually properly drowned and there's water in the crankcase, there's water everywhere, it's proper full of water, there's a chance it probably won't be the same again. It might not make the same amount of power, because that water could have caused damage. There could be dirt and grit that got in with the water, which caused scoring on the cylinder walls, on the piston. It could have damaged the rings, but these engines don't have any rings, so you don't have to worry about rings. But on a normal engine, also it could wash the oil away from around, because you can get a thing on an engine called bore wash. That's where, if you've got a petrol engine, it washes the oil away from the cylinder walls, and the sealing compression rings, they can't seal anymore, really, not as well anyway, so the compression gets away from around the rings and you just don't get compression, and they call it bore wash, because it's washed all the oil from the bores. It needs oil on the cylinder walls in order to help it create a seal, and that way that's how you get compression. These ones don't have any rings, so you ain't got to worry about that. But you might lose power temporarily until the oil starts to build up a good seal around the piston again, possibly. But for the most part, I'd say we're all right. I'd say it's all, I wouldn't worry. And for those of you that say that you've drowned your nitro engines in ponds and whatever else, and they've never started again, unless there's serious damage, I say you go and get that engine out and you get it going. Because unless you've hydrolocked it, in which case the water's got in to the combustion chamber, water can't be compressed, so the piston comes up, tries to compress the water, but it can't, but the force is still coming up, and the piston stops dead because it can't compress the water. The crank's still trying to go, so the rod is in the middle and the rod just bends or snaps in some cases, but bends or snaps. Then you've got some damage and your engine's never going to run right. It won't never run at all if it's snapped. Excuse me. A bit tired I am. It never run at all if it's snapped, but if it's bent it might run a little bit depending on how bent it is. But the piston will never go up and down properly. All this will be rubbish. But if it's been hydrolocked and you've not got any of that occurring, because you can have a hydrolocked engine if it's going at low enough RPMs. You can have a hydrolocked engine and not have any damage. So if that's happened, you'll be all right. You'll be well away. There'll be no trouble whatsoever. Just go and have a bit of perseverance. So remember what I did. If you've got a drowned engine and you put it on the shelf and you drowned it in a pond or a puddle and you're like, that's ruined, and you maybe didn't even try. Maybe you tried and you weren't successful, whatever. If it's been left a while, take the glow plug out. You might even want to go as far as taking the plate off so you can get to the crank. Spray loads of oil in there, WD-40, something like that. Don't matter what you use, rust penetrating fluid, whatever, just to get it all clean. Yeah. And then put some oil in there. Maybe you want to swish it around with some nitro fuel. Get it all going. Get it all free. Put some in top of the glow plug. Get that going. Get it all around, and then put it all back together, and it will start. But you might have to clean the carb out, depending on whether you've got goo, mud, water in the carb. That might be blocked up now with a bit of grit. It don't matter, but it will go. So, be a bit patient, that sort of thing. But if you've literally just drowned your engine, literally just now, or yesterday, or whatever, and you're depressed, you're like, oh no, and you've left it on the thing, and you're like, I've got to go and get a new engine now. Honestly, if it's just happened, take the glow plug out. All you do in a real sized engine is take the spark plugs out or take the glow plugs out if it's a diesel one. Spin it over loads of times, get all the water out of the pistons, wait until all the water's gone, put them back in and it'll go. So if you've just drowned your engine, take that glow plug out, pull it over or put your roto start on it or put it on your starter box till all the water's gone out of it. There's no more water coming out in the top of that piston. Clean your glow plug, make sure it still works on your end of your glow starter. Put your glow plug, make sure it still is working, because the water can damage that, so make sure that's still working. If it's not, get a new one. If it is working, put it in. You might want to put a bit of heat on it, but you might not have to. And then just start it up. Try and get it started. If it was drowned fully properly, there might be water in the crankcase, but from spinning it over with no glow plug in, that should pump all that out from your crankcase, and it should come out the top of your piston, at the top of your engine, top of your cylinder. So, all is not lost if you drowned an engine. There's been so many people sending me messages and commenting on, once you've drowned an engine, that's it, it's not any good. That's an unbelievable thing to be saying. It really is unbelievable. You want to avoid drowning it if you can, but if you get it wet, it's not a problem. Honestly, not a problem. So there you go. I think I've talked about pretty much everything that I was thinking of talking about. Trying to address some of the problems, trying to say some of the things that I could have done. Like I said, I should have at the time put oil in it then, but I didn't. I left it because it's I had to go to work for one. I had to go to work, so I couldn't fuck around with it too much. Other things happen, but it's just a hobby, and and I know that that's going to be all right. Even if I left that and it rusted up, there's water inside the crankcase and it rusted up, I know that from doing so many of these, so many real sized engines and also nitro engines, a bit of rust, as long as it's not proper rust, but a bit of rust ain't gonna do a thing. I'll just take that apart, spray it all with oil, get it all lubed up again, put it back together, and we'll be well away. So there's no trouble there. So if anybody's got any questions, if you've got a drowned engine or whatever, you've got any questions, put them in the comments to this video, and other people and me can answer them to hopefully help you get your engine going again after you drowned it. But yeah, it ain't as bad as it sounds. It ain't as bad as people make you think. You know, some people really do think that it's the end of the world if you drown your engine, but it ain't. It ain't the end of the world. I still haven't touched this one since the day I got it running for you lot on that video. I haven't touched it. It's the air filter's still here. Look, I left it there to dry out, and that's where it stayed. I never put it back in again. But yeah, lovely, man. I was well happy with it. So what are you lot doing today? I hope you're all going to have a nice day. Anyway, well, today is a Saturday morning. I hope you're all going to have a nice day. It's a lovely sunny day. It's meant to be 30 degrees in England this weekend, so it's going to be good. Make sure you're ready and prepared for that. Are you going to take your cars out? Hopefully you are. Let me know what you're going to do. You're going to take your cars out down the park, wherever. Maybe now you're going to go and have a bit more fun. Maybe you was really wanting to do a pond, you know, skating across a pond or something with your nitro truck or whatever, and you were scared to in case you drowned it and you killed it. Well, as long as it ain't flat out when it's going across the pond and it goes in the water, if you drown it and it ain't flat out with the revs, you'll be alright. On a real engine, a real like car or motorbike that you're riding or driving, if it goes in the water and you see the air filter going under the water, you turn it off. That's what you do. But with a nitro car, obviously you ain't got a remote shut off, have you? You might have a remote turn off for your engine, or if you're a bit posh, but generally you haven't. So you just have to cut the revs, let it on tick over, and you know, let it sort itself out, and the resistance should stop it. But if it sucks a bit in, you'll be alright. Don't matter. It can go in through the exhaust as well, so watch that. But I'll catch you later on, you lot, and enjoy yourselves. Remember, as I keep saying, that's what life's all about.